this week we are joined by a really good friend of mine. He has been a friend of mine for a lot of different Josh stages, I say. He's also a fellow teacher. So today we are joined by my good friend Caleb. Caleb, thanks for joining me today.
Yeah, it's awesome being here.
Why don't you introduce a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, totally. Well, I don't know how you do this.
What do you want to tell the world?
It's so strange. I've never been like in front of a mic recorded sort of like this before. Yeah,
never done like a song recording or anything.
Well, now
we did. Okay, you know what we did?
Now I'm curious.
Sorry, we did in my grade 11's project. Remember we did the rap battle?
Oh yeah.
But this is different.
So I mean, like that gives you a little bit of an idea of how far Josh and I go back. We've been friends. I don't know.
Too long.
Yeah, we've been like, I don't know if we really became like super good friends until high school, but we kind of were like always around each other.
Yeah.
In like, I don't know, did we go to the same elementary school? We were for sure in the same middle school.
Yeah GH, right?
Yeah So like, I don't know, like I think that I kind of had an idea of who you were. And then when high school came around, we joined band together. And I know, similar to your last, is Catherine going to be your last?
Well, Catherine was our first episode. So it's already out there.
Yeah, there you go. All right, go watch it.
Very
it was really fun.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and so like, I don't know, like there was something really, really special about, I don't know, the connection that we had in band, and especially with the grade above us as well. We graduated 2013 together, which dates us a little bit. Ooh.
Yeah, I'm kind of old. Yeah.
Shouts out. But yeah, like, I don't know. Is there anything that you're curious about my story?
How would you, I don't know, introduce yourself to the people maybe who might not know you? Maybe give him like a 3-sentence bio of who Caleb is.
Okay. I think that for me, a lot of my identity right now is trying to like not be defined by my work. Even though I love my work, like I love being a teacher, and it's like the most rewarding profession that I can think of, and I'm so glad that I'm doing it. I'm trying not to let that be my first answer. I'm trying to let it be that, I don't know, I just got married last summer, and so that's super fun. I really love music, which is like where we connected. I'm dramatic.
He's very dramatic.
Yeah. And so I like bringing a little bit of excitement into people's lives, and I do try to do that with students as much as I do it with friends.
It's funny enough that you say don't want to define yourself as a teacher. That's such a tough thing, because being a teacher during school is like your whole life, right? And so like it's hard to be like, I'm a teacher, but I don't want to be defined a bit. But also basically my whole life from September to June is basically just work. So
yeah,
it's hard.
It's really hard.
It was only my third year, which was my last year, that I found a balance, and I found like I could kind of finally let work be at work and just leave it there, which is really hard to do when you take care of kids and you're marketing and like the emotional connections you have with these kids, right? So,
exactly. And you don't want to be like, I don't know, I try to rebel against the idea of like bad and good teachers a little bit, because I don't know, like it's a profession that'll take anything that you can give it, and so if you don't put up those boundaries, you're just gonna get swallowed by it.
And when I first decided to like separate work and just leave it there during usually the weekdays, but of course on the weekends you always do work anyways, but I remember feeling guilty at first, because I remember being like, oh man, I'm not a good teacher. But then I was like, I'm going to be a worse teacher if I don't take care of myself and just overextend, and then eventually it'll just like blow up, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I stopped. I tried to just leave it at work, and hopefully you find a good rhythm.
Yep.
Good balance to that.
Yeah, I'm finding that. So that'll be the start.
That's my tip as a veteran teacher.
You have 1 year on me, you son of a...
Okay, what? Son of a great mother.
Yeah.
Okay, so we talked a little bit about how we met.
Yeah.
So like Caleb mentioned, I think it was around, we knew of each other's existence like throughout elementary. Middle school was more apparent. I remember it was that guy in choir.
Yeah.
That I was supposed to be in choir because the choir teacher was really wanting me to be in it because all my other brothers were, but I wasn't, and I was a rebel. But I remember you're like, it's that curly haired kid in the choir.
Yep.
And we were also in band together, the drummer, I remember that.
Yep. Yeah.
And then even in high school, like I know we joined band. I have very good memories of band and the band Geeks. Hello,
Yeah.
friends.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think we really got close until grade like 11 or grade 12, maybe. Like it was kind of the latter half of it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, high school is just a blur.
It is a
to
blur.
Me. We were talking before about how like it's kind of easy to, I don't know, blank out some of the memories from high school. Maybe
Yeah.
I think like I don't know, like I look back on high school fondly.
Yeah.
And so it's not like I'm blanking them out for like traumatic reasons or something like that.
I am.
Yeah. Exactly, but it's just been also so long ago, you know?
It's been so long.
So if you say grade 11 was when we like really started connecting, I believe you.
Because like okay, so I'm thinking about when I was in grade 9. I remember certain people that I was close to, right? And then grade 10, same thing. But it was grade 11 when I was going through the worst of it, I think, for myself, like personally. And I remember reaching out. I don't know how we connected. Like that's the thing too. Is like we were friends. We were like friends and classmates for so many years in the on-there program because we're smart, I guess. But I don't remember the definitive moment where I was like, we're friends now. Do you remember?
No, there's no moment that I can like kind of point to. I remember connecting, like we just had a lot of similar interests.
Yes.
We loved music. We were both pastors' kids growing up. That's a whole
PK?
thing.
Yeah, that's a whole thing.
And we both liked being active and like I don't know. We were on a grass volleyball team this summer, and
But
so
I always joke around about how I'm not athletic.
yeah, but he's better for the camera. He's better than he says.
Thank
so.
you. PE, Josh and PE I was pretty decent, you know what?
Yeah, I mean, we were also doing it with the band PE kids, and so like the bar was just set a little bit lower, and so if you're anywhere
so much
likewise competent in anything sort of physically,
That's fair.
yeah. So
Actually, I had a core memory unlocked just now. I think
yeah.
one of I remember, because you actually knew a lot about my situation a lot earlier than a lot of people. And so I remember, I don't know why or what led to me telling you, but I remember it was during like the whole first crush of, let's call him Dave.
yeah.
When I liked Dave, and I remember having that crisis and like just having a lot of struggle with that. And I remember, I think I remember telling you about just generally my sexuality and the things I was dealing with, and we were going on a walk. I remember going on a walk, and it just like, I don't know where we went. We just like went for a walk. I think we went to Sierra Park, of course, classic.
Yeah.
But I remember I think that's when I told you.
Yeah, I remember that. That's my core memory. Is
memory.
On the bench underneath the gazebo in Sierra Park.
Yeah. But that, I think, I guess, quote unquote, that would be kind of the moment that I kind of opened up.
Yeah.
And then I think because you knew a lot of the people that I had issues, or not issues with, people that had done things to me.
Yeah.
So I'm sure on your side it was a very, I don't know how you felt about that. Like when I told you about all these things that were happening.
Yeah.
Like, was it difficult? Was it?
No, I mean, like, not at all. I mean, like, I think, like, growing up in a Christian household, like, I think that I'm very happy that, or like, I don't know, like, relieved that I kind of like fit the box of what like a nice Christian boy was supposed to be like, I think. And so I had the privilege of not really like having to think about that sort of stuff. You were the first like, I think I knew some people that like just sort of generally that were like somewhere on the gender spectrum or bisexual or gay, lesbian, but you were the first close friend that came out to me. And so all of a sudden, something that I didn't have to think about, it was just like, oh, this is kind of like upfront in my face now. Like I can't ignore this. My good friend who I love and cherish is like telling me about this, and I don't have the luxury of kind of being ambivalent about it anymore. I had to think about it, right? And so was it hard? No, like I think that I grew up, thankfully, in a family and a church that like really, and a youth group as well. I was part of Young Life that like really emphasized kind of like that God is love, and that's kind of where the baseline that I kind of approached it from. And so like coming from it from like a Christian perspective, like it wasn't it wasn't like I had like a huge sort of crisis of faith that this was going. It was just like, okay, like it's time for me to like start thinking more critically about it, and wondering. There's just like the 6 times or whatever it's mentioned in the Bible, like just 6 times or whatever.
Just 6 times.
Yeah, or it's just like
Or there's like a translation thing that we should think about too.
Yeah, exactly. And so like I don't know, like I don't think that I'm qualified to speak on the theology of it. I'm a teacher, but I went in and I asked some of those questions, and I don't know what kind of like I came out on the other side is just like, this is my friend.
Yeah,
I love him, and if this is like, I don't know, if him being real. I don't know. Christians always say that you want to have like a authentic relationship with God, and like that's like a huge part of what the messaging that I heard in church every Sunday. And I was just like, and this is my friend, this is my friend being authentic, right? And if he doesn't feel like he can be that way with God, then I don't know. I don't think that I agree with what the Bible says, right? Yeah. So
it's funny that you brought up just like the 6 times it's brought up in the Bible, or whatever. And like I talked to Catherine about this last time, but one of the hardest things for me, like going through therapy, was just like the amount of hatred that I was taught as a kid to feel that way about myself at the age of what's grade 8, 13.
Yeah, that's such a formative time.
And so for me, it's like, and then me being as an adult, reading those passages, going back into, the actual, original language and those translations, and just actually just reading it and just kind of recognizing that there wasn't actually hatred in that. Like there was nothing that, God, it never said that God hated these people, right? And so that was a real tough thing for me, because I think for somebody like you who knew me during that time in high school, a lot of people didn't know I was going through anything. No. And I think the people that know about my situation now, and when I share my testimony back in 2015, I was a very different person than I was in high school. Yeah. And I mean, I think Kayla would probably say that I've changed a lot ever since then. And but let's just go back to that. Like, I remember being this very insecure, very self-conscious, low self-esteem person, and you saw a lot of that, like, because I actually shared a lot about what was going on in my heart and going on in my brain during that time. And so, like, can you speak to that in any way? Like, yeah, totally. I mean, like, I think that it probably wasn't until you told me directly, because, like, I don't know, as like a high school kid, like, you're not really emotionally picking up on the stuff in your friends, especially dudes, right? I think that I I know, right? Sorry.
And so, like, I don't know, like, I don't think that I was like really picking up on it, because like when you're in high school, you don't know what's like a self-deprecating joke and what is just like, ooh, that was a little too true, like, and so, like, I don't know, like, I think that, I don't know, we're all most people are insecure
everyone is insecure.
Back in high school. And so, like, it's normal. And so, like, I think that I just kind of saw that as like, oh yeah, this is just like normal teenage stuff. You're just kind of going through stuff. But like, I don't know, like when you were back in high school, like, I didn't notice anything. And that's what made it like so hard to hear the stories of like what you have gone through, is because that was not how you presented. And for good reason, right? It was a safety mechanism.
Yeah, I was a good actor.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I don't know. Like I remember you, in high school. Like, if we're talking like the different, are we just gonna go through like the different eras of Josh? Let's just
go
today?
through high. Yeah, we're gonna go through everything.
So high school Josh was like, I don't know, really kind of like outgoing. You loved getting people together, especially around creative projects, and you're still doing this. Hello, we're posting this on the internet. Josh is doing all the editing. Like you love gathering people, especially because you kind of like, I don't know, you kind of got that like multiple people. Like I always say to my students, 2 brains are always more than just 2 brains. Where it's just like whenever it's like more people working together, better things come about it. And I think that you understood that at like an earlier age.
Yeah.
And so the extracurricular stuff that you were doing, like you just like on your off days, you would transcribe music for choir, and you would like put together these like a cappella arrangements. And I mean, why you weren't in choir in middle school, I don't know, but you had such talent with that at such an early age. And so I think that like, I don't know, I think I rode my first bus without my parents. I think I rode with you. That's like a core memory. Yeah, right?
For frozen yogurt?
Yeah, for frozen yogurt. Yeah, exactly, right? And so like, I don't know, like I think that a lot of our before you kind of like let me into your inner world, like I think that a lot of what I knew about you was based on those like frozen yogurt memories, where it's kind of like we had a lot of fun together and we tore up the town and the mall.
Yeah, security was called on us when we were at Uptown. You remember that?
I do. We were being a bunch of teenagers.
There was like 30 of us or something. So
yeah.
I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, like, and we're all just like, I don't know, we're all like the honors kids and Ben geeks, but I understand how that looks. You know, if it's all of us there and it's just like a group of 30 teenagers. Show, yeah. Anyways, yeah. So that's high school, Josh, to me. Like, I think once you kind of like shared your heart, it was, I don't know, I saw you in a different way, I think, and not in a bad way. You know, like it was like nobody had ever. It's like, I don't know, like I loved my high school friends. I don't think that I would change much about it. I'm still in contact with a lot of them. But there was never a sense of like emotional vulnerability with them. And with you were like one of the first sort of like male friends that showed me any sort of like emotional vulnerability. And I think that really made an impact on my life, just like hearing you talk about that sort of stuff. And then from there, I mean, it's scary to be truthful, right? To be vulnerable and stuff like that. But I felt so much closer to you after that and felt like I could confide in you because you had confided in me. And you're just like, okay, I'm like, I don't want to like betray Josh's trust because he gave the story to me. I know that now if there's something that I was going through, I could come to you and we can chat about it as well.
There's something that I told my students, and I know some of you listen to this, that like vulnerability leads to vulnerability.
Yeah.
And like, I know that, you know, I was actually really blessed and lucky to have been able to share with those people like in high school and university, and for them to have a positive response. Like, I think if I had a negative response, I think it would have changed a lot. And for me, like it's nice for me to hear that, you know, in those high school days, like that I was able to do that for you. Like I know that it's not easy for a lot of people to be emotionally vulnerable, right? And so you know, back then, I think for me, it was more of I needed help and I needed somebody to listen, and I felt really safe with you and during back then. But I'm glad to hear like that, you know, because back then I mean, everyone was kind of pretty much tunnel vision, right, in a lot of ways, and I was just trying to protect myself.
Yeah, we were all trying to survive, right?
High school, man. I don't. Anyways,
I mean, like, I don't want to like. I'm a high school teacher. I think that high school is also really, really cool. Yeah. But yeah, it's you're figuring out who you are in that moment. And yeah, I don't know. Sorry, I cut you off.
No, it's okay. And I mean, I was literally as a teacher when I was teaching at the school, I knew that high school, I didn't have the best high school experience, right? And a lot of people have really good high school experiences. So for me to be able to speak on the negative parts of it and to be vulnerable with my students and tell them that I didn't have a good experience, that you know, I knew I connected to some of them, and I still, you know, share that I had a great band geek community, and it's not like all bad, right? Yeah. But for me, when I think about high school, I think about it was mostly personal like trauma more else than not really everybody else, right? But it's funny when you were explaining or describing who I was. When you said outgoing, I like it to myself, because like I'm not that kind of person anymore. And I think university kind of was more apparent. I came a lot quieter, and although with you guys it was kind of, we were trolls and a gong show anyways, right? So in front of you guys it was very normal. And maybe because I could be myself, I felt like I could be myself. But for a lot of people in university in my program, like they probably all describe me as a really quiet person, because I, at the time, it says in the video, like I just didn't want to make any more friends, and I was really scared and all that stuff, right? But yeah, like I think back on high school, and I think like of these, people in my life that helped me get through it, and you were one of those people, right? Like the fact that you were just there. Like, I mean, I know we only talked a little bit, and I think we got closer in university, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
But you were just like that, okay, this is an example of somebody who cares, and like somebody that is telling me that I'm okay the way I am. Because I think in high school it was a very tough situation, because it was like basically like I just couldn't accept my feelings. I couldn't accept the fact that I felt these things, and high school was just figuring that out. And when I started liking Dave in grade 11, that was probably the first time I felt, I guess, romantic attraction, right, in my life. And I told myself that was disgusting. And high school was the whole time in high school and university was me just learning that me loving somebody or liking somebody is completely normal. And but it was like, when I think back on it, it was really sad, because I felt that way because I was taught that. And a really close mentor of me, I remember it was around the end of high school, I had shared that I liked somebody in the situation of this battle I had in myself. And he said, like, heterosexual and homosexual feelings are exactly the same. You love people, you care for people. It's the same thing.
Yeah. And the first like layer peels away,
right?
you know? Yeah, totally.
And he's like, but what's wrong is lust, right? And for me, I agree with that. But it was one of the first moments where I was like, okay with myself. And that took all of high school to just like be okay with the fact that I felt this love towards another guy, right? Because I really cared for that person.
Yeah, totally. Right? And I can't even imagine like I don't know, like I'm sorry that hold on, let me back up. I can't even imagine like what it's like to feel like a part of yourself that comes so naturally to you is disgusting. Right? And disgust is such a, like, I don't know, if you look at emotional, so like it's something that exists in all societies, right? And so it's like, it's a powerful like lizard brain emotion sort of deal, or monkey brain, I don't know what you want to call it, but yeah, just that, like, so it's powerful, right? And so it doesn't surprise me that it took 4 years to unlearn that, right? That this stuff takes time, right? And I don't know, did you find it easy to be patient with yourself? Oh, I guess maybe you were too in it to like be like, okay, this will get better, right? Maybe I don't know.
In high school, no. Like,
yeah.
Even thinking back when I was in high school, I couldn't see a future. Like, I couldn't.
Right. Yeah.
I couldn't see Josh happy. I couldn't see me being content with myself, and it just sucked that a lot of things were like happened to me in my life with certain people, that I was, told certain things as a child that I wasn't worth it, and like my music ability wasn't good, I wasn't smart enough, didn't look good enough, like all those things, like I wasn't skinny, whatever.
Yeah,
so
like the comparison
exactly.
that goes on. Yeah.
And so that just didn't help with the whole idea of disgusted and self-image issues. Like I'm pretty sure I have body dysmorphia, or just because I just never been content with my body ever. And that was because of all that insecurity of other people on me.
Right.
And that's what sucks, is because like for me as an adult, and like maybe I'll have my own family, whatever, I will always, I will meet new people, I will always meet new students, kids, whatever. But for me to project all my insecurity on a child, like that scares me, because I know that we will. And no matter how hard I try, but I know that I will apologize, and I know that I will admit it. I would admit that I was wrong and try to have this conversation, right?
Totally.
But when I was younger, those people, they weren't mature enough. They weren't woke enough to recognize that what they were saying to me was literally eating me alive. And just like, like you said, high school is a time where you figure yourself out, right? So for me, just trying to figure out myself, but then people telling me who I was, that was tough. That was tough because it didn't align. It didn't align with what was happening in my heart and my feelings and stuff, right? And so that was like, high school was tough in a lot of ways, other than the fact that people treated me poorly, but also just the journey of like, like what is happening to my body? Who am I? Why am I worthy? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, like that's tough enough to go out when like you're like, I don't know, when you're becoming like when puberty happens, right? And all these hormones are flowing through your body. It's hard enough to go through it when you don't have that added layer of shame with it, when it's just like what I am feeling is not acceptable in society. And like, I don't know, like I think that we've seen so much change even in just like the 10 years since we've been in high school, and like
oh my god, thank God, honestly.
Yeah, like I said, like I don't think that people can go through school right now without not thinking about it. At least that they have it's brought to their attention, because I don't think we talked about it at all really in history, unless there was just like
I think I remember having like people were talking about it kind of quietly, like it was still a taboo, like I remember that. But university was when things started happening. I remember that. And I remember like when we went to university, they started having these clubs, and I was just like, whoa, what is happening? Right, which is amazing, but at the same time I was just not comfortable with myself at that time.
Totally. Well, and even like when we were growing up, like it was almost like, I don't know, like some of the language that we used, right? Like it was almost like a rite of passage to like use homophobic slurs. Like it was just kind of like part of growing up as a guy. And so I don't know, I mean they're probably not saying those words in front of their teachers, but I'm not hearing those words as much
than when we were younger.
Than when we were younger.
And I mean, honestly, that I think didn't help at all for me, right? Like to have not only these slurs, but these homophobic slurs that were just like, people would make fun of it, and the people would use it to make fun of somebody. And for me, it was like, but that was me. Like that was literally who I was. And I bet you a lot of people in high school, like don't know who you are, but like, yo, talk to me. But like, it was just a lot of things that just, I was just unfortunate that these things lined up. Right. And, I don't know, just like high school, like I said, people were just insecure. Right. And, I was just the person that they decided to have fun with and like make fun of and say rumors about me, right? Like I look back on high school and I look back on photos and just like seeing myself in these photos, and I'm like, wow, I was not happy. And that's like really sad for me to think about, right? Like how much my whole high school career I was just in this torture chamber of myself.
But in all those photos, you're smiling.
Right? And doing an Asian peace sign.
Classic.
So I don't know, like what came out of high school, pretty cool friends, I say. Like it's the people that stuck around, but also just a lot of healing and a lot of things that I needed to unpack, and I'm still unpacking now, right? So thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of The Open Closet. I hope you've been enjoying this conversation with Caleb about
our past memories, situations, and just a reflective time of the many things that I struggled with and how he was present for many of my eras. If you'd like to support this podcast, you can find this podcast on Instagram and YouTube at The Open Closet Media, as well as Spotify and Apple Podcasts, so make sure to share this with your friends. If you'd like to support me, you can find me on Instagram at JMKPoon.
But yeah, high school. Let's move on to the next stage.
Yeah. What era of Josh do you want to talk about next?
Okay, so university.
Yeah.
The reason why I wanted to say university is because after I liked Dave, I had a crush on you. You remember that? And I think that's just like kind of when I think back on it.
Mm-hmm.
I think back on like we were just really close friends. We were like so close that we shared a lot about the things that we struggled with, the things that were bothering us, and so like we were just really like emotionally available with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I think that was what I needed in a lot of things, right? And because in high school, I mean, we were close. I talked to you about a lot of things, but university was, I think, my most depressive years because I didn't have to hide anything anymore. I didn't have to act in front of all these people anymore.
Right. So like the act of like pushing it down, like at least it's down. Well,
Yeah.
I don't know. Eventually it'll come back up.
Yeah.
And then in university, it's just like, okay, well, I don't have to push it down anymore. Oh my gosh. What's going on?
Yeah, no, literally just like, and like I university was probably the worst depressive episode moments of my life, right? And you were one of the people that just stuck around since high school, right? And so I think it kind of made sense. Like you were someone that I was able to open up to, I felt safe with, so just transitioning into a new era of life made sense, right? And I remember our fond like super like 2 a.m. walks around our neighborhood.
How did we stay up that late?
I don't know. I'm tired at like 11 now.
Yeah, I know. It hits you. Don't get old.
Don't get old.
Don't get old.
That's our hot tip for you.
There we go.
But like I remember just like those conversations we had and just being able to just like say what was on my mind, right? Because I think even throughout the first couple of years of university, I was still struggling with identity. I was still trying to pretend that I wasn't gay and just kind of think, oh, I don't feel these things, right? And you were kind of there in that process of me figuring that out.
Yeah.
Do you remember anything from university, Josh? Or any moments that you were like, wow, Josh has changed, or like Josh grew, or whatever?
I just remember all the processing that we did, where I was just like, oh, I don't know, I'm way out of my depth here. I guess I can just listen, right? Like I think that, I don't know. I think one thing I'm curious. I'll talk a little bit about it, but I am curious also to hear like, I don't know, like what, I don't know, gave you the impression that I was someone that was safe. Because I like you talked about how I was kind of like present and like I let you know that it was like, I don't know, you used the word okay, but I would say beautiful to be who you are, but like I don't think I had the language to say that when I was in high school and university. It's only been in like the recent years where I've become more comfortable being like emotionally intimate, especially with other guys. So yeah, for the 2 a.m. So I'm curious to just get your brain running with that as I talk a little bit about it. But yeah I just remember like either we would hang out after the group finished hanging out, and because we would walk home because we lived close by, and then we just kind of like sit at the bus stop where no buses came by because it was too late, and we would chat and kind of just like keep going for walks. And yeah, I don't know, like I don't remember anything specific because I feel like you were learning so much about yourself right now that it was kind of just like word vomit. It was just like, I just need to get this out here. I don't know what's going on inside my brain. But yeah, I think I probably resorted to giving advice. I remember like looking back on, this is something that I'm trying to help, is like to only give advice when the person actually wants help. So like a good phrase for me that I've been learning is like, do you want advice, or do you want me to just listen, or something like that? And so I wish I had listened more than just being like, oh yeah, just try this, But I don't know. I was in university. I was in high school during those times. And I was just trying to figure that out. So I don't look back on those times too badly. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I think you were just honest
Yeah.
in those moments, and I felt close to you because of that. That you were being honest with me, and I felt like, yeah, this is like one of my really, really good friends because of it.
I think it was just kind of this aura I felt. I think just the way you can see someone's heart by how they treat people, right? And so I think like just seeing you, how you interacted with people at school to versus Young Life, and how much you cared for everybody there, I just felt safe in that you were somebody that I could trust, and somebody that would care for me, right? And I mean, knowing your family too, that also really helped. And you know what, I want to like honestly, like your family and other people in high school that hopefully are on this podcast soon, but was one of the reasons why I even stayed with my faith. Like I was like, the definition of God's love was because of you guys, right? And it was also with a lot of my other close friends, but that's literally why I stayed in the faith. And I had this conversation with somebody before, but they were mentioning like, wow, you had such a tough life, and it probably would have been easier if you just left the faith. Like probably would have been easier to just not have to deal with these church things, right? And but something kept me there, right? And because I believed in this God that was loving, but for me it was like learning that it was God who was loving, but humans can be terrible, But I connected those two. But yeah, I think just the way you treated people, I think that's why I felt like I could talk to you. And I mean, those late night conversations was like, for me, not being able to say anything to anybody, not being able to talk to anybody at home about it, not being able to talk to even some of my closest friends that didn't know at the time, because most of my friends found out in 2015, which is second year university. And so for me to like at 2 a.m. just basically word vomit all the things I was processing in my brain, right? And just for you just to be able to listen and just be like, thanks for sharing, or thank you so much for sharing that. That's really honest. Like, there aren't all happy thoughts.
Yeah. I think I tried to say thanks for sharing. Yeah. I don't know. Like I tried to listen, but I don't know. I don't think I did that. I don't know. Like, I don't know what,
you being there.
Yeah. If I don't know. Like, I think like if you are in a situation that I'm in and your friend is going through crisis, like, I don't know, be kind to yourself in those moments. I beat myself up for not, I don't know, helping or like listen. Like, I don't know.
Okay, this is what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
When somebody is going through a crisis, it's a lot. Yeah. It's a lot to listen and process all that stuff, right? It's like, it's not easy to sit there for 2 hours or whatever, how long we were there, like, and just hear just somebody share everything. Like literally I just shared whatever was going through my brain during that time. And like, for me, I get it. But the fact that you showed up, or the fact that you stayed, that meant the world to me, right? And because I didn't have at that time, the people that I thought were my friends, or people that I thought I could confide in, left and kind of ditched me, right? And I think that's also why university, when I think about university, you were one of the only people that stuck around. And which is like kind of like, I think for me, that's probably why I confided so much in you, like, because nobody else stayed, right? And I don't know, it's been a long time, so I'm trying to unlock these core memories as we go.
I'm a big fan of the expression, don't just do something, sit there. Like, because it's an inversion of like the don't just sit there, do something, right? I'm learning that. And I hope that I don't know, whoever this is reaching, you know, like that's something that you can, if your friend is going through something like that, learn from me. Don't be a problem solver necessarily.
We all are in our own ways.
I know, right? But yeah, just it's okay to just sit there and listen.
Yeah.
So,
so my question to you now, like we talked about just our friendship and where it's been. So do you remember when I told you I liked you? It was at that park over there.
Yeah.
What were your first reactions? What was difficult about it? Because honestly, like, as people who were so close to each other.
Yeah, it's a tough one because, like, I don't know, like I think you told me knowing that there was no chance. Yeah. Really, because of our different sexualities. And so like it was, I don't know, it was uncomfortable because usually, like, I don't know, like I was never taught this, but like society taught me that like the guys do the asking out. And so I've never had to say like I don't know, I wouldn't call it like a rejection because you didn't ask me out or anything like that. But I never had to be in that situation where like someone was telling me about their feelings for me. And then, so it was uncomfortable, right? Because I don't know, like it was something that we had to talk through. Like that's what some of those late night chats were about. So it was uncomfortable for me, but not because it was guy to guy. I don't think, I mean, maybe there was like a little bit of internalized homophobia with all of that, but
still got that too.
Yeah. You got that too?
I still got it.
Hey, we're the same. We're the same. There we go. Okay. No, but we're but it was just uncomfortable being by being vulnerable in that sort of way. You kind of like put me in a position of power. Like, how am I going to respond to this in a way that like still keeps our friendship alive? Because I don't know, like that's the worst like worst nightmare, worst dream.
You heard it first.
Worst nightmare of anybody that asks somebody out that's like been a friend with them for a while is that it's going to ruin the friendship. Right. And so I can't even imagine what was going through your head, but like for me, it was like, it was weird and uncomfortable because it's like, I want to keep this friendship going, but I also have to like say no. Yeah. You know?
I remember, because I had these feelings for you for a while, right? I remember like it wasn't just like one day thing, but I just remember for me, it's like I needed to share it because I wanted to be truthful, right? And I didn't want to continue building this fantasy or this thing that we could possibly be a thing, which I already knew was going to happen. So I think that's why I told you, was because I wanted to get my answer to help me just stop. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Was it hard? Yeah. Being rejected is still tough as an adult now. But I think at that time I needed that. You know, I needed that to help me kind of just stop. You know what's funny? It's that's funny. This is something that you said to me. I don't know if you remember this, but
probably not. Like that. Like that's the sort of thing. So you have no idea like what words make impact on people until they tell you. Like 5 years later. So here we go.
Oh my gosh. Actually, like 7 or 8 years ago. But this stuck with me, and this kind of like made me feel loved. And I say that because there are a lot of moments where I felt loved, but this was one of those moments where I like felt cared for, even though I just shared my heart, even though I knew that I was going to be rejected. I don't think this is verbatim. I don't know exactly the way you said it, but you said, Josh, like, you're an amazing person. You're a beautiful person. But I can't love you. I don't feel the same, and I'm sorry. And that was one of the sweetest things that I remember to this day, because it wasn't like you didn't want to be around me. It wasn't like you didn't want to, you know, be with me. It's just we didn't feel the same way. And you respected that, well, how hard it was for me to share that. But like, that's something I hope people say, because people care for each other. You can't ignore that. And I knew that you cared for me in that time, but to just acknowledge that I hear you, I understand, but I don't feel the same way. And that probably be a good song, but that
write it down. Take notes.
but like that that stuck with me because that was like I think one of the first moments where I felt, oh, someone can love me. Someone in the future could love me if they feel the same way, because before that I didn't feel that. No.
Oh. Can I swear?
Oh, yeah.
Shit. Oh my gosh. That yeah, I don't remember that at all, but like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm glad that stuck with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
That was one of the things that I think made me have the hope to find somebody, and like it was sad because I think after that we were still close friends, but slowly life happens. We both went our separate journeys in life and all that stuff, right? But and I mean, to be fair, when you share something like that to somebody, the relationship does change, right?
Yeah.
We can't ignore that. And so I just remember I always thought fondly of you and our relationship and our friendship back then. That like, I don't know, I guess it was sad that we weren't as close as university went on, as we both went into our careers.
Yeah.
But like, we're still chatting.
Yeah.
We're still
exactly.
friends,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you are one of the people that, I don't know, it feels like you can pick up exactly where you left off with. And so I don't know, it feels like we're blood brothers.
Yeah.
Like it just kind of feels like there are people in your life that you'll find that. And yeah, everything will just, I don't know, there will always be something to catch up on, but it just feels like we've been through so much that it's just like, well, I don't know.
Yeah.
What does the next year hold for
Yeah.
Caleb and Josh? Who knows?
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
Actually, side note, this is core memory unlocked.
Yeah.
That same night that I shared my feelings to you,
Yeah.
you know the song "Mine" by Taylor Swift?
What album? What era of Taylor are we on? I don't know.
I don't remember, but anyways,
Yeah.
there's a
No,
lyric
I
in
don't.
there
Yeah.
that makes me remind me of you, like whenever I listen to it, because it happened. Like basically that whole scene happened.
Yeah.
Dramatic movie scene.
Okay.
I remember telling you, and then just like I remember leaving. I remember we went to your place, and I sat by and I was crying. Of course, classic.
Yep.
But it was around 2:00 in the morning. And then I remember you running out and just like we just hugged it out and just chatted, because I think we both kind of understood that it was a very tough situation.
Yeah.
But we wanted to make sure that we were both, okay. And basically the lyric is like, I remember that night, 2:30 a.m. basically running down the street and like whatever.
Yeah.
And like that. So that's what I remember is that
Yeah.
song. So
Yeah. Okay.
anyway, just a random core memory that has happened
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. So when it came to like, I don't know, like when you shared your story with your friends, like it didn't come as a surprise really to me.
Yeah.
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 But I don't know. It was cool to be there, because I don't know what went on sort of like behind the scenes or anything like that. But when you shared your story, your testimony,
Yeah.
there was an embrace on the stage.
Yeah.
And I just remember seeing that and being like, okay, well, Josh has still got like a ways to go probably in like acceptance, but like, I don't know, was that a moment of healing for you when people like heard you and then like came up and gave you a hug, or like, I don't know.
So this is 2015.
Yeah.
I share my testimony with, I guess my church fellowship, and then I invited you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was because I was so close to these people, yet I was quote unquote acting and not sharing this personal thing in my life for so many years, and none of them knew. Some of them in the audience were people that knew, people that saw me grow up, people that never knew that I was, in so much pain. And it was kind of one of those just reminders that, Josh, they always loved you. Josh, they always cared for you. And I actually had another experience in May this year where I was able to share with my Vancouver friends, church friends, and same thing. I was like, and you think like, after 2015, me sharing this huge thing to most of my close friends that it'll be easy. No. Like it was literally still difficult. I cried like a baby again. But because I was just fear and so much fear in my heart that people would reject me. And I think I will always have that fear, and it's unfortunate, but it's quite common,
and not everybody is going to have the same experience of you as like growing up in the church, figuring out your sexuality, figuring out it kind of like goes against what is like taught to be true, big air quotes. But I think that everyone can resonate with that feeling of fear about not being accepted. Like this podcast like isn't just for people. I imagine it'll be the main demographic is just like people who love you, but also like people who have found courage in your story because you relate so much to them. But I think that even just like, I don't know, I feel like anybody can relate to that sort of story of just, I don't know where I stand with people. I'm going to do something that's like vulnerable and risky, and like they have the chance to reject me. Like that is so scary.
Yeah.
It's so scary. So like you did it twice.
I did it twice.
You did it twice.
And I did couldn't think a third time with showing this podcast.
Yeah.
That's the thing for me is like, I don't want this podcast to be a who's right, who's wrong. Like, I don't think that's, right. But for me, it's like, I just hope people can acknowledge that I was hurt. And that I had a lot of self-hatred, that I had a lot of self-healing journey that I needed to go through to unpack what was actually wrong, unpack the hatred I felt, the hatred that people had towards me, because that's not right. That's not love. That's not God's love.
No.
Okay? You can't, if you argue against that, I know you got to check yourself, right? And to just be able to have that heart to acknowledge that I was in a lot of pain. And like in the end, like we all have our own opinions on anything. Like I say, for our faith, there's so many arguments, opinions about many things in the Bible. But the underlying thing is that God wants us to love others, and that God loves us, right? And I just hope that we can relate with that. You know, like I know that I won't. People might not agree with me. People might not accept this decision that I make or future decisions that I make. But I don't think that's literally the whole point of our faith. So, you know what I mean? Like I just realized that it didn't really matter as much as I thought. Yeah. And I mean, the Bible never said it really matters. So, how many times, Caleb? How many times was it mentioned?
6.
And also just check your sources.
Yeah, and I don't know if y'all know, there are a lot of pages.
There's a lot of pages.
There are a lot of pages.
And I think Jesus never spoke about it.
Yeah,
T. But yeah, I don't know. I think back on what was the core issue of what was going through in my heart. And for me, well, it was just the fact that I had a lot of hatred to myself, which is not right. That's not what God would have wanted. But I think I just mixed up me having feelings and just equating that to lust. But I just thought that me even just liking somebody was wrong. Like me just loving somebody was wrong. That all of this is disgusting and it's a sin. But lust is a sin, but not literally just like caring and loving somebody else.
Yeah, totally.
Well, that was a huge shift in my thinking when I kind of realized that.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, like, I don't know. My dad always said this. It's just like, I don't know, like lust even in like the right context is okay. It's like, I lust after my wife, and I'm like, ew, Dad, that's Mom. But you tell me? I don't know. He's gonna be a guest on here
Yeah.
later.
Yeah.
You
But
can
like,
bring that up
like,
too.
you know what I mean? Like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's, like, in a way, it's true because,
Yeah.
well, God believes that in a certain setting, marriage setting, whatever context, that it's okay. Like, it's supposed to be a beautiful thing. Sex
Yeah.
is supposed to be a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
But it's dangerous in a lot of other ways, right? So I get that, but that was a huge thing for me to just get over, and go, why was I taught this? Like, like me just reading the Bible as an adult and being like, where does it say that? Right? And people that keep saying, oh, it says this, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, but like, just read it.
Yeah.
Just read the Bible in the main, use your sources, figure out what the translation talks about, figure out what the main heart of God is. And it's literally, you don't, like, the criteria of being a Christian, it's just like two things, right? Like, Jesus is our Lord and Savior, and you love God, loves you, and you love God, and you love other people. Like, but it's not that. Like, that's the thing. It's like, it doesn't say you have to be married. It doesn't say you have to have kids. It doesn't say you can't be single. It doesn't say a lot of things. It pisses me off.
Yeah. Yeah. I love seeing Josh go off.
Oh, sorry.
Josh going off
Bring it
is
back,
one of my
bring it
favorite things. Yeah.
But yeah, it's like, so I guess for me, it's what has been the biggest change that you've seen in me. Like, because there was a period of time where we didn't really talk to each other.
Yeah.
And we didn't really see each other. That's been the last couple of years, I guess. So I think the last time we were really close was probably after my testimony sharing. So what have you seen or noticed a difference in me or whatnot? Or maybe nothing.
No, there's definitely stuff. My brain just like, sometimes it's like a turtle and it needs some time to get to that finish line. It'll get there.
Amen.
Yeah. I see a lot more security. Like, you're out there, man. You're gay now. Like where before it was like, where it was like,
I wouldn't even talk about it.
yeah, exactly. And so, like, I don't know, the fact that you are like able to make those like gay jokes and stuff like that, and it's just like you're kind of reclaiming them because like those jokes were used to like, I don't know, hurt you in the past, or like not explicitly to hurt you, but they did hurt you. Yeah. Right. And now you're cracking them back. It's and you're kind of out there. Like, I don't know. I think the security in that identity is a lot more, is something that I have noticed. And I don't know, it's just a kind of general sense that, like, I don't know, I think even when we were in high school, like, Happy Josh was like, there was kind of like a manic sort of energy to it, or it's kind of like like, but now, like, when you laugh, it feels like more genuine. And it's just kind of the vibe that you give off. It's not really anything that I think that I can point down.
So it's like high school laugh was like, haha, I'm in pain.
Yeah.
But then now it's like, haha, I'm happy. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I don't know. It just feels like you are freer and that you have a weight lifted off of you that you have been carrying for a really, really long time. And it's been a really, really heavy weight. And the fact that you just kind of like shrugged it off, like it feels like you are standing up straighter. Hey.
Don't know about that, but I definitely feel that.
Yeah.
I definitely feel, even just looking like at pictures from high school, university to like now, like actually being able to smile and actually being genuinely happy and joyful, I think has been different. I mean, I still catch myself, like, I still get those depressive episodes and stupid thoughts and whatever, but I generally found more security in myself and my community, and I think my faith, honestly, like that, like when I was able to just figure out what my faith actually meant, I think that changed, generally who I was, right? And but yeah, I hope that the people who are listening, that us just chatting about the different eras with Josh and how it's changed, and brings hope to you if you're struggling.
Yeah.
And for people who have friends who are struggling and confess their love to you, that like just do it out of the best way you can love them, right? Like you like just acknowledging that it's not easy and that you do want to tell them and show that you still care. But
Yeah.
you know, you always need, relationships always change. And I think when I shared it, my feelings with Caleb, like that time away was needed. Like honestly, to think just to have that separation, but still kind of know that I can call Caleb up and be like, help,
Yeah.
And the thing about I moved back and then we started playing volleyball together. Like it's just like things just kind of continue on, even though we haven't chatted in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Any questions? Anything? Did I skip? I literally did not look at the notes I sent.
There we go. Hey,
Wow,
that's a conversation.
That's a conversation.
Yeah. I think that I don't have any questions. If you feel like we've.
I don't think I do either.
Okay.
Wow. Thank you for joining me today. It was
pleasure.
a very reflective conversation, I think, even for myself to think back in high school, which I don't like to do. But I like to end each episode by saying thank you and saying that I love you.
Yeah.
And give me a nice hug.
Yeah. Love you too, brother.
There we go. We out. Oh, I'm out. Sorry. I'm out.
Oh, still good. Okay, we're good.
Yeah, it's like, we just do not record the entire episode.
Yeah.
Okay, bye.
And that's another episode of The Open Closet. I hope that you found some healing, some knowledge, some information that maybe you could give to a good friend of yours that you know is struggling, or you can relate to just something in this episode. I hope that you can share this with your friends, spread the word, and remember that God loves you, I love you, and I'll see you next time.